Happy holidays. How's everybody doing? Happy, everybody? Bah humbug to you, too. Group. Well, we just finished, really our second phase of our preparation, which is, game plan installation and, really working towards, getting our football team sharp in terms of, some 11-on-11 work. We'll get into full, LSU work on Sunday and Monday, and then into game week. So we're finishing up. Our first phase was really beginning in December with conditioning, weight training, and some fundamentals and techniques. Our second phase was really getting our football team back into tackling and some scrimmaging, which we're able to do that, as well as getting a peek at some LSU, and then finally, as I said, we're kind of moving through that phase and getting into full game preparation for LSU. So pleased with the progress. Starting with looking at December 22nd and working up to December 30th. The weight training, conditioning. I'm pleased with that. I'm pleased with the technique that we've been able to really focus on some players in particular. And then the scrimmaging has been lively and very effective for our football team in terms of tackling, guys being tackled. Our quarterbacks have been live. It's just been good action for our football team. Not only to keep them sharp, but to get better in some areas that we needed to get better in. So that's kind of an overview of what we've been doing over the past, 3.5 weeks as we roll into the next couple of days. As I mentioned, Sunday. Today we were in meetings and walkthroughs. Tomorrow, Sunday and Monday will be heavy practices now that exams are over. And then the kids will be off. Monday they're dismissed after practice, and they will meet us at the Bull site on the 26th, and then we'll have our week preparation beginning on the 26th at the Bull site. So that's kind of a recap and an overview of what our schedule looks like. That'll open up to questions.
Brian, the health of Sheldon Day and Cody Riggs.
Good. Sheldon practiced in full gear and took reps in all of our team, and we're a better football team when he's in there.
Sure.
And Cody Riggs as well.
You said on Monday Sheldon was not 100%. I'm sure he isn't quite there yet.
Yeah. Well, I think here's what I would say. His injury is 100%, or we wouldn't put him back out there. So he is cleared medically. Now getting from that 90% to 100% is football-related activities, fatigue, right? Volume, and so that 10% is getting up. We would never put a guy out there that is not physically, not healed.
Right.
Yeah. So to clarify my remarks, what is that percentage? It's always about getting that fatigue element. The quad's not at the strength it needs to be, and taking reps gets him stronger and stronger.
And no doubt about Riggs playing.
No doubt there. Both those guys will be in the starting lineup.
Coach, what have you seen from the quarterbacks, the last couple days, and is there one that maybe stands out more as the true starter at this point, who will, run out on the field first?
I've been, I think the observations for me would be extremely coachable, really working hard on the areas that need improvement. Very engaged in the process of, moving their game forward. Knowing there are areas that needed to be addressed, and we've created those situations in the meeting room and in practice. As I mentioned, the quarterbacks were live, so that would probably give you a glimpse at the things that I was looking for from both quarterbacks. One in a sense that with Everett, there were things that he needed to see live, and then from Malik, you need to see, the picture fast and live just because you haven't had as many snaps. So both of them have made very good progress in what we're installing, but more importantly, I think their techniques have improved to the level that you would want over these, practices that you get. These were very important ones, and we're better at that position because of it.
And then I know you guys kind of struggled against the run towards the end of the season. Leonard Fournette, obviously a really talented back.
Mm-hmm.
How do you guys keep on point against a guy that was the #1 recruit in the country coming into this season?
Yeah, well, it's not just him. It's a great offensive line. They rushed for over 300 yards in 3 of their games in the SEC last year, so this past season. So I think it's a formidable task. It's one where we're going to be challenged. But there's a lot of ways for us to, obviously get better at what our last performance was, and we will. We'll be much better than what we showed against USC. And we'll have to do a great job of keeping our defense off the field too. So our offense has a lot to say about what goes on there as well. So I think it's a total team effort that we'll have to corral, slow down, whatever ways. Stop is probably not one word I'm going to use, but slow down, a great offensive running game.
Brian, what have you gotten out of Niles during this bowl prep? What have you seen from him?
Continued confidence and learning, plays fast. I think the one thing that I love about Niles is that he is so thick-skinned. I mean, he is a bull. He just keeps coming at you and wants to learn every day. It doesn't matter if he made 53 mistakes the week before. He comes back with such an incredible want and desire to learn more the next day. I just love the way he comes to work every day, and I know Coach Van Gorder feels the same. He's going to be a special player. It's just, there's a lot of learning, a lot of teaching at a very, difficult position at the middle linebacker position where he's had to go in under fire as a true freshman. Luke Kuechly couldn't do it. Manti Te'o couldn't do it. Some great players that couldn't do it at the level that we needed it to be done, given all the pieces that were gone around him. But if you strip that away and you look at the kid, he's a special kid, and he's going to be a really good player for us.
And did you have any other injuries pop up while you've been practicing?
Yeah, Lombard's dealing with a little bit of a lower back that's cranky on him right now, so we've had to be careful with him. He's had that disc problem most of the year, so we'll be careful with him. We hope we can get him to play, but McGlinchey's been taking reps there, so that's clearly where we're a little concerned, but Christian's fought through it all year, so we're hopeful there, but that's really it. No other injuries.
Have you been happy with the offensive line, what you've seen from them in this bowl prep period?
Oh, there's definitely, guys are, you're looking at McGlinchey and his development. Love what I see there. I love, Ronnie's really taken a more of a leadership kind of role, which is nice to see, stepping up yesterday. I liked his fire yesterday in practice, really just emerging. Nick continues to work at his position in his craft. Elmer, clearly. And then the freshman Alex Bars is, he's one of the best I've seen in 25 years. He's that good. Those guys ought to be nervous about whose job he's going to take. He's that good of a player. So, if there's one offensive player that I can point to, Alex Bars is clearly the guy that stands out on offense.
Brian, just to clarify, have you decided on a starter between Everett and Malik?
No, they're still competing. They're still working at their craft, and I think probably the most definitive statement that I made on it is probably stands, and that is that they'll both play. And then as we get closer, we're starting to hone in on some of the things that we want to do with both of them. That I've got a kind of an eye towards what I want to do with Malik and what I want to do specifically as it fits the game plan. And then as we get closer, when we get down there, we'll probably start to hone in on, who the starter is and how that plays out.
Brian, what can Greg show you in practice, or what has he shown you in practice to maybe start cutting into Tarian's carries in the bowl game?
I don't know that practice is hard to, at the running back position to cut into somebody's carries. It's almost, you got to do it in the game. He's worked really hard. He's going to be a contributor. He'll play against LSU and contribute. But Torian's body of work has been probably, more consistent. But we really love Greg, and he's just a freshman. It's his first year of competition, and he's got a bright future and a lot of football ahead of him.
So not to downplay practice, but what he did against USC maybe holds a little more sway than what he can do in December necessarily.
Well, no, I think what it does more than anything else is it gives him more confidence in knowing that I can be a really big contributor here, and we felt that was the case. And as we move forward, it'll be those two guys when Cam graduates, and then a freshman or two, and so he'll be looked on to carry a lot of the load next year for us.
You mentioned bars. Who else has kind of popped for you among players that we haven't seen as much on the field this season?
I think from an offensive standpoint, Quentin Nelson's going to be a really good player for us on the offensive line. I think from a defensive standpoint, we're going to really like Bonner, Johnny Williams. Those guys are going to really contribute for us. Those guys stand out. In practice, you see them; they're visible. They make plays for you. I think those are, and then there's just so many guys that are getting better that are young. You're seeing, players emerge and getting better, every single day. And there's so many young players out there that they're all making some progress.
With Dave back in the mix, are you still looking at Isaac maybe helping on the inside as an anchor?
Yes. Yeah, we are. Yeah, no question. I think that he's going to have to be prepared to play some inside for sure, and we've got him working in there right now, and he's got to continue to work with his hands. It's a little bit different inside than on the edge, but we feel like it's important that we're able to handle some big guys up inside, and those two guys probably give us our best chance.
And with Niles developing the way he has, and how Greer has emerged also on the inside there, I know this is a ways off yet, but is there any thought of maybe Jalen moving back to the outside?
No, he's going to be an inside player. What we have to be able to do, quite frankly, is teams started to get him out of the box. When you're the will linebacker, you can displace a receiver and get Jalen out of the box. USC did a very good job of displacing him and getting him out of the mix. It probably moves towards the other way. How do you get Jalen in the box and keep him in there, as one of your best players? So those are decisions that we'll have to make, and Coach Van Gorder and I will sit down and talk about, those kinds of things. Niles has the flexibility to play all three positions. He's athletic, he can run, he can play Sam, he can play Mike, he can play Will. The guy that's, that I didn't mention that is finally moving and running almost at the level that we were hoping back in October is Jarrett Grace. So he's a guy that, changes, when he's out there, he's got some Joe Schmidt in him, and you can see the change in practice when a guy like Jarrett Grace is out there, his energy, his leadership, you know, obviously we're not going to play him because we're going to preserve, you know, the medical aspect of it. But you know, here's another guy that can help our football team. So, you know, there'll be some good problems there that we'll have to kind of work through in the off season.
Is Jarrett taking contact in practice?
Yes, absolutely. Yeah.
That's the first time this year
Yep.
he has?
Yep. Yeah. He's very pleased that he was able to relearn, you know, the foot strike. And, you know, we have a machine called the Ultra G in our training room, which is essentially a zero gravity treadmill. And the zero gravity treadmill has kind of allowed him every day to reteach that foot strike. And it's really made great progress, you know, and he's put in the time. So he's got great strength, and we just couldn't get that foot strike back. And I think just the reteaching of it is it's great to see.
Brian, real quick on Sheldon, you mentioned how much better you guys are. Can you quantify how much better you are when you have?
Well, we would be better if we had a little bit more size in there, right? You know, Daniel Cage is going to have to play much better than he did, and I think with exams over, I can see the white of his eyes, and I can see his pupils, and his eyes were in the back of his head about 2 weeks ago. He was a bit overwhelmed with everything. I think he'll play better for us. But, you know, obviously, you know, Jones would help us in there immeasurably, but certainly we're a much better defense, you know, with, you know, Cody at the corner and having, you know, Sheldon in there. That helps us, you know, so much more. But, you know, clearly LSU is a better run offense than USC was.
Brian, with Max, similar to Day, I mean, is he 100% healthy to play? Where is he sort of in 100%?
He was in full contact yesterday.
Full contact, so he's ready to go.
Yep.